Right now, 80 large wildfires are actively burning across the United States. 2026 has already become the worst fire year on record. 7.2 million acres consumed, which is 169% of the 10-year average. And we're only in mid-August. Tonight in Washington state, a fire the size of a small country is burning just 30 miles from Leavenworth. NASA satellites picked up 97 separate heat detection points in Chelan County alone overnight. That fire burned straight through the night, and that alone tells you how intense and relentless this thing is. Meanwhile, a brand new fire exploded in San Diego yesterday, triggering immediate mandatory evacuations across 2 full zones. And down in New Mexico, a fire near Santa Fe is showing what's called extreme fire behavior. Long-range spotting, meaning embers are being carried miles ahead of the main fire and igniting brand new spot fires downwind. This is a packed, genuinely serious fire weather day from coast to coast, and according to the latest NWS guidance, the heat, wind, and low humidity driving it aren't easing up anytime soon. So let's break it down region by region, starting in Southern California and working north and east across the country. Yesterday afternoon, the Sorrento fire made a fast, aggressive run in San Diego. It ignited northwest of the 10700 block of Juniper Park Lane in Sorrento Valley around midday and burned 131 acres through the Los Peñasquitos Canyon Preserve, a striking rate of spread for that terrain. By Sunday evening, crews had pushed containment to 25%, and all evacuation warnings were lifted after 7 p.m. That's a strong outcome given how fast this fire moved, and credit goes to San Diego Fire Rescue for the aggressive initial attack. Still, 13 new fires ignited across Southern California yesterday alone, so regional resources are stretched thin. Up the coast at Big Sur, the timber fire in Los Padres National Forest has burned 5,130 acres. It's only 17% contained and is threatening numerous residences along that beautiful but rugged stretch of coastline. If you're in the Big Sur area, keep a close eye on evacuation orders. This one is still very active. Now to one of the more interesting stories in the Great Basin. The bug fire, managed by the BLM's Carson City District, ignited on August 8th at 4:08 p.m. east of Route 395 and south of Bridgeport Road in Lassen County. The cause is still under investigation. 8 days later, it has burned 94,150 acres across Lassen and Sierra counties. But the good news is real here. It's 85% contained as of Sunday evening. Quick note on what 85% contained actually means, because it trips people up constantly. Containment isn't a measure of how much of the fire is out. It's a measure of how much of the fire's perimeter has a control line around it. Think of it like a fence. 85% of the fence is built, but that remaining 15% is still open and still capable of letting the fire spread. Inside that fence line, the fire is still burning, smoldering, and very much alive in the fuel bed. Crews report progress to Incident Command constantly, and mappers update that percentage as new line goes in. Containment tells you how confident firefighters are that the fire won't escape, not that it's extinguished. Full containment on the bug fire is targeted for August 21st, and current fire behavior is described as minimal, mostly backing and smoldering. Personnel on scene has dropped to 766, down 83 from the day before, a clear sign that things are winding down there. Swinging northeast into Utah, the story is very different. The Black Canyon Fire, 29 miles southwest of Price on the Manti-La Sal National Forest, is only 36% contained and actively growing. Fire behavior is described as active flanking, backing, and isolated torching, with evacuations currently in effect. Nearby, the Widowmaker fire on the Fish Lake National Forest is 84% contained after burning 129,000 acres, close to wrapped up, but evacuation orders are still in place, so don't let your guard down yet. This is where today's story gets genuinely serious. The Pacific Northwest is at National Preparedness Level 5, the highest level in the entire federal fire response system. According to NIFS, 37 uncontained large fires are burning across Washington and Oregon, with 16,124 firefighters currently deployed. PL5 specifically means 80% or more of all Type 1 and Type 2 incident management teams are committed nationwide. There's almost no reserve capacity left in the system right now. The biggest and most concerning fire in the country is the Little Giant Fire on the Okanogan-Wenatchee National Forest, burning 30 miles northwest of Leavenworth. It has consumed 132,990 acres and is only 10% contained, a striking number for a fire that size, and a clear sign of just how tough the terrain and fire behavior have been. 26 structures have already been lost, and suppression costs have already hit $59.3 million and are climbing daily. The fire started July 15th from a lightning strike, the same ignition source behind so many fires across the region this year. Evacuations remain in effect across Chelan County. Monitor the interactive evacuation map, sign up for Everbridge alerts, and note that a Red Cross shelter has been established at Enset Warehouse Community Church. Call 509-784-2710 for details, and verify current shelter locations at redcross.org. Overnight satellite data confirms just how relentless this fire has been. VEERS detected 97 heat detection points in Chelan County in the past 24 hours, all of them overnight, a cluster spanning roughly 29 kilometers east to west and 15 kilometers north to south. Peak radiative intensity hit 8 megawatts, with total cluster energy around 248 megawatts detected in that window. A fire burning that intensely through the night never really cools, which means crews can't gain ground on something that essentially never sleeps. Today's NIFS situation report shows 1,985 personnel assigned to Little Giant, along with 47 crews, 75 engines, and 4 helicopters. Down in Oregon, the Grasshopper fire on Mount Hood National Forest is the region's second largest, at 90,130 acres and 10 miles east of Government Camp. It's 47% contained, but still producing active wind-driven runs. The Hogan fire on the Umatilla National Forest, 26 miles east of Pendleton, is only 14% contained across 56,000 acres and is showing the most dangerous fire behavior of the day, active torching and long-range spotting well ahead of the main flame front. All 3 Oregon fires are threatening residences, with evacuations and road closures in effect. There's also a cluster of Central Oregon fires being managed together by NIFS's Incident Management Team 3, under Commanders Blair Joyner and Danny Gore. The Henry, Coyote, and Shingle fires, all lightning-caused, a common pattern when dry thunderstorms roll through without meaningful rain. Henry Fire, near Paulina Guard Station, 97% contained, 29,850 acres, nearly finished. Coyote Fire, 5 miles south of Post, 88% contained, 17,459 acres, with crews working the north edge. Shingle Fire, 14 miles southeast of Mitchell, the largest of the 3, 73,179 acres. High winds and low humidity tested containment lines yesterday, and they held. The northern edge is now on patrol status. Highway 26 between Prineville and Mitchell has reopened, though drivers should use caution with crews and equipment still active in the corridor. A Level 1 Get Ready evacuation notice remains in place for nearby Wheeler County residents. New Mexico. Farther east, the Folleos fire on the Santa Fe National Forest, 3 miles east of Cañoncito, is deeply concerning. It's burned 9,338 acres and is only 12% contained, with NIFS confirming extreme fire behavior, running, crowning, and long-range spotting ahead of the perimeter. Crowning is when a fire leaves the ground fuels entirely and climbs into the treetops, spreading rapidly from crown to crown. Satellite data backs this up. 50 heat detection points overnight in Santa Fe County, all from that same relentless overnight burning pattern. Numerous homes and communication infrastructure are threatened, and evacuations remain in effect. This one deserves close watching. Meanwhile, the KO2 fire, 40 miles northeast of Roswell, is 60% contained on 280 acres. Here's something that puts this whole emergency in perspective. The U.S. currently has firefighters from Australia and New Zealand on active assignment managing large fires in the Pacific Northwest, 3 15-member international incident management teams, plus 196 additional fireline personnel from the Southern Hemisphere. There's also a Canadian large air tanker and a Bird Dog aircraft from Manitoba staged out of Boise. 4 MAFS-equipped C-130s from the Air Force Reserve and California Air National Guard are staged at Klamath Falls and Redding, and 240 soldiers from the 7th Infantry Division at Joint Base Lewis-McChord are supporting fire operations on the ground. When international crews, military units, and reserve air tankers are all activated simultaneously, that tells you the true scale of this emergency. Now let's talk about what's driving all of this, because the latest NWS guidance matters here. The Weather Prediction Center's extended forecast, issued early Sunday and valid through August 23rd, describes a strong upper-level ridge parked over the south-central U.S., bringing dangerous heat to the southern plains, Texas, southern Oklahoma, southern Arkansas, and northern Louisiana. That ridge is locked in place, with temperatures running from the mid-90s into the low 100s and no meaningful relief expected this week. Minimum relative humidity is dropping into the mid-teens to mid-20s, critically low anywhere in the country. In Oklahoma, the Burnt Canyon fire added 1,524 acres in a single day, exactly the kind of growth that environment produces. Scattered thunderstorms are expected around the edges of that ridge today across Oklahoma, Arkansas, and much of the southeast. But here's the catch. These will be high-base storms capable of producing ground-strike lightning without delivering meaningful rainfall. That's a dry thunderstorm, and in fire weather, it's one of the most dangerous setups there is, ignition with none of the moisture benefit. In the Pacific Northwest, a weak upper-level disturbance is tracking through Northern California this afternoon. NIFC's Predictive Services section confirms it will bring gusty winds and reduced humidity across northeastern California, northern Nevada, southeastern Oregon, and southern Idaho, and could spark thunderstorms over eastern Idaho and western Montana. Once again, dry lightning over a landscape that's already critically stressed. That's the ignition threat I'm watching most closely today. Looking further ahead, the WPC's official guidance has the ridge gradually shifting west toward the southwest and southern plains through August 23rd, a slow shift with hazardous heat and elevated fire weather expected to persist through at least August 21st or 22nd. The WPC itself notes lower confidence in exactly how a complex mid-latitude pattern over the Northeast Pacific evolves, meaning forecasters agree on the big picture but haven't locked in the exact timing of any change. To be transparent, yesterday's GFS and European model runs disagreed somewhat on the track of that Northern California disturbance. Today's runs are in better agreement, though details are still evolving, which is normal at this range. The year-to-date picture. The 2026 numbers are genuinely historic. From January 1st through August 17th, firefighters have responded to 48,960 wildfires nationwide, burning 7,270,038 acres, 169% of the 10-year average. For comparison, 2025 stood at 3.7 million acres on this date, 2024 at 5.4 million, and 2023 at just 1.7 million. This year's 7.2 million acres has nearly doubled the total from 2022, previously the worst recent year on record. The 10-year average fire count through today is 37,960, roughly 29% above average. Based on current NWS guidance and NIF's predictive outlooks, here's how the Pacific Northwest and Southwest could play out. Best case, the ridge shifts early enough that modest moisture reaches western Oregon and southwest Washington by day 5. Even a bump in overnight humidity into the 40s and 50s would let crews make real progress on containment lines, critical for a fire like Little Giant, sitting at just 10%. Middle scenario, and the one current guidance leans toward, the ridge holds, conditions stay hot and dry, and Little Giant remains in low double-digit containment through the week, with additional acreage likely on Hogan and Grasshopper in Oregon. Folleos in New Mexico stays at critically low containment under continued extreme fire behavior. Worst case, plausible, not forecast. A significant wind event hits the Northwest fires. If that Northern California disturbance delivers sustained gusty winds to Little Giant on top of low humidity, a fire burning in timber at only 10% containment could escape its lines quickly. Basic fire behavior science. The same risk applies to Hogan in Oregon, where spotting is already occurring. The mechanism behind this whole season is what forecasters call a persistent subtropical ridge, sometimes loosely called a blocking pattern, though that's not the WPC's official term. A dome of high pressure has parked itself over the southern U.S. and won't budge. Normally, storms move west to east. When a ridge like this locks in, it deflects systems north or south around it, leaving the dome underneath to just sit and bake, which is exactly what's driven this summer's persistent heat, drought, and fire weather across the west and south. The WPC expects this ridge to remain well established into next week before gradually building north over the Four Corners and northern Rockies late in the period. That shift may eventually bring some change to the Pacific Northwest, but it's a gradual trend, not sudden relief. There's a low-confidence, longer-range signal suggesting a possible pattern change in late August or early September that could bring Pacific moisture into the region. But that's a signal, not a forecast, and it'll only carry weight once it shows up consistently in the day 5 to 6 range. What's clear is that fire managers nationwide understand the resource crunch PL5 creates. With nearly every firefighting resource already committed or on short call, responding quickly to new ignitions is extremely difficult, which is why catching new fires small during the first operational period is the top national priority right now. One dry lightning event over Idaho or Montana tonight, sparking 3 or 4 new fires, would put enormous pressure on a system already stretched to its limit. For context on human cost, the Aspen Acres fire in Custer County, Colorado, 102,000 acres, 72% contained, has destroyed 915 structures and cost $11 million to fight, making it the most expensive single fire in the national system right now. Reminder that containment percentage and acreage alone don't capture the full toll of these fires. What to watch in the next 24 to 48 hours? Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. Monitor evacuation orders closely and keep a go bag ready. Conditions can shift from a warning to a mandatory order within minutes. Don't wait. Chelan County, WA, Little Giant Fire. Use the interactive evacuation map and sign up for Everbridge alerts now. Wheeler County, OR, Shingle Fire. You're at level 1. Get ready and stay prepared to move on short notice. Santa Fe County, NM, Folleos Fire. Evacuations are already in effect. Don't wait until you see flames. Southern Plains, TX, OK, AR, elevated fire danger continues through at least August 19th. Avoid outdoor burning. The air is critically dry, and high-base storms can ignite fires without ever delivering visible rain. Great Basin and Southwest, UT, NV, NM, elevated to critical fire weather, is expected to persist through the week. Sourced entirely from official NIFCS and NWS products as of August 17, 2026. 80 uncontained large fires nationwide, National Preparedness Level 5, and 7.2 million acres burned. This is a historic, still developing situation, and the persistent subtropical ridge confirmed by the WPC isn't offering meaningful relief to the northwest or southwest this week. The 3 fires I'm watching most closely, Folleos in New Mexico, Little Giant in Washington, and Hogan in Oregon. Expect daily updates for as long as PL5 remains in effect, and given current guidance, that could be a while. If the extended range signal for a late August pattern shift firms up in the day 5 to 6 window, I'll break it down. And if dry lightning sparks new ignitions tonight in Idaho or Montana, I'll have a focused update as soon as I can. This situation is moving fast. Like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update. All information sourced from official NIF situation reports, INCIWeb, and NWS Weather Prediction Center products. My thoughts are with every firefighter on these lines and with every family that has lost a home or been forced to leave their community. See you in the next one. Stay safe out there.